Before we start, hit that subscribe button, because tonight's story isn't just another haunted school legend. This is one of the most terrifying nights of my life. And if you've ever wondered what a New Jersey abandoned school looks like at 3 a.m., I'm about to take you inside the one place I swore I'd never return. The truth is, we shouldn't have gone to Redwater Public School. You don't find Redwater on travel blogs, ghost maps, or explorer forums anymore. Most locals pretend the building never existed. If you ask around nearby neighborhoods, people get quiet. They change the subject, or they say one sentence that sticks in your mind like a thorn. People who enter don't always come out the same. So why did we go? Because a video surfaced on Reddit showing something, or someone, moving behind a fogged-up classroom window. The user claimed the clip was filmed at 2:58 a.m. from the woods behind the school. 3 seconds of footage. A pale shape crossing the room. No face. No features. Just a blurry white figure drifting where no one should be. That video haunted me for days. So I dragged my friends into this nightmare. Tyler, the guy who thinks every spirit wants to talk to him. Maya, who acts brave until she's not. And Chris, who had every reason in the world not to go. He lost his cousin in 1997, the year Redwater shut down. We didn't tell him until we were halfway to the school. He didn't yell. He didn't fight us. He just went silent and stared out the window like he was reliving something he tried hard to forget. The road to Redwater barely existed anymore. Cracked asphalt, overgrown weeds, no lights. By the time we saw the broken sign, the car clock read 2:49 a.m. Redwater Public School. Except half the letters were missing or hanging by rusted screws. The moment we stepped out of the car, the temperature dropped by at least 10 degrees. No wind, just cold. Wrong cold. The building loomed in the fog like a giant corpse. 3 stories, all windows black, roof sagging in places. The main doors were chained shut, but explorers before us had pried open the cafeteria window. A perfect rectangle of blackness in the wall. Tyler filmed everything. "All right, guys," he whispered. "We're going in." I wish he hadn't said it out loud. Inside, our flashlights cut through layers of dust and floating debris. The air was damp, heavy, almost too thick to breathe. The cafeteria tables were still bolted to the floor, covered in grime. A menu board on the far wall said, "Pizza Friday, last day before break." Nobody ever came back from that break. We moved toward the hallway. That's when we heard it, the first sound. Slam. A locker door. Followed by another. We all stopped. Tyler grinned nervously. "Wind. There's no wind in here," Maya whispered. The hallway stretched into darkness, lined with rusted lockers, peeling bulletin boards, and posters for events that never happened. Talent show April 3rd. Field trip sign up. Book fair next week. Everything frozen in time. Something skittered across the floor behind us. Fast, sharp, like nails scraping tile. We spun around. Nothing. Chris clenched his jaw. "This place, this isn't how I remember it." "What do you mean?" I asked. He hesitated. "They remodeled the north wing in '96. But these posters, they're older. Way older. It's like the building went back in time." We kept walking, deeper into the school. Our lights flickered randomly, but every flicker happened at the same time, as if someone was pulsing the power. At the end of the hall, a staircase led up to the second floor. That's when we heard humming. A little girl. Soft, slightly off-key, echoing down the stairwell. Maya grabbed my arm. "No, no, no, that's a child. That's..." Chris whispered, "Emily." His cousin's name. We followed the sound up the stairs. Every step echoed too loudly, like the building was listening. At the top was the music room. The door was half open. Inside, moonlight leaked through broken blinds. Desks were overturned. Sheet music lay everywhere, warped by water damage. A violin case was cracked open on the floor. Strings snapped like hair. But the piano was perfect. Polished, dust-free, completely untouched. As if someone used it yesterday. We stepped inside. The humming stopped instantly. Tyler raised his camera. "Are we alone?" Before I could answer, the piano bench scraped across the floor, slowly, 2 inches toward us. No wind, no animals, Nothing visible, but something moved it. The air turned icy. My breath came out in white fog, and on the piano, a single sheet of music rested neatly upright. Lullaby for Room 21. Tyler reached for it. "Don't," Chris snapped. That was her classroom. "How do you know?" He pointed at the faint writing on the corner of the sheet. "Property of Emily Dalton, his cousin." Before we could react, something behind the piano shifted. A shadow, small, childlike, moved past the wall and slid into the hallway. We all saw it. The figure didn't walk. It floated. We bolted out of the music room, heartbeats shaking our bodies. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions, but the shadow had gone left, toward the old classrooms. That wing had the worst reputation. That wing is where Emily was last seen. We followed anyway, because fear makes you stupid. As we walked, the overhead lights flickered, buzzing like angry insects. The deeper we went, the more the building changed. The smell of mold faded. Instead, a faint scent of chalk and cleaning spray, school smells, filled the air. Then the sounds returned. Footsteps behind us. Slow ones, matching our pace. We turned. No one. We kept walking. Then something whispered behind my ear. "You're late." I jumped so hard I hit the lockers. Maya screamed. We ran blindly toward the nearest open classroom. The door was hanging crooked, scratches all around the handle. Inside, the desks were arranged in neat rows, way too neat for an abandoned building. On the chalkboard, fresh writing covered the surface. "Someone else is in the school." Below it, a little handprint dragged downward, smearing the dust. Tyler's voice cracked. "Guys, I think we need to leave." But the hallway behind us went pitch black. I don't mean lights turned off. I mean black, like someone smeared ink over reality. Then we saw her, a girl, standing at the far end of the hall, facing the wall. Her dress was old-fashioned, soaked at the bottom. Her hair hung wet across her face, dripping onto the tile. We froze. The girl slowly turned her head, only her head, toward us. Her face was pale. Her eyes were dark holes. And when she opened her mouth, no sound came out, just a void. Black, endless. Chris whispered, "Emily." The girl lifted her arm and pointed toward the auditorium doors. Then she vanished like smoke pulled through a vent. We didn't want to follow her, but the lights behind us buzzed violently, surging like something huge was moving through the walls, chasing us from behind. We had no choice. We ran. We pushed through the heavy auditorium doors. They slammed shut behind us, locking with a sound that echoed through the empty theater. Inside, rows of red seats faced a stage covered in dust. A single spotlight flickered weakly above. On the stage sat an old VHS camcorder. It was on, recording, red light blinking. Chris whispered, "That's not school property. That's modern." Tyler approached it cautiously. Then the upper balcony creaked, footsteps pacing above us. Slow, deliberate, heavy, like a teacher walking an aisle. Maya clutched my arm. "We are not alone. We are not alone." The seats around us groaned, one by one, as if someone invisible was sitting, filling the audience, row after row, watching us. On stage, the camcorder crackled. A voice, a little girl's, whispered through the tiny speaker, "Help me find them." The entire auditorium plunged into darkness, except for the faint glow of our dying flashlights. Dust drifted through the air, like ash settling after an explosion. For a moment, no one breathed. No one moved. Then the camcorder on the stage made a clicking sound. A tape was inside, playing. Tyler whispered, "That wasn't there a second ago." The screen on the camcorder lit up with static, black and white snow. But beneath the static, faint shapes moved, desks, walls, the outline of a hallway. It was footage from inside the school. Recent, maybe hours old. A girl's voice whispered over the static, "Find me." The room's temperature dropped again. Our breath fogged into the beam of our flashlights. The balcony footsteps stopped. Silence. Then something began descending the stairs. One, heavy, step at a time. Thump, thump, thump. Each step shook dust from the ceiling. We backed toward the stage in a huddle. Turn it off, Maya hissed. Tyler tried. He hit every button on the camcorder, but the screen only grew brighter until it showed a perfect image of the auditorium. From behind us, we saw ourselves huddled on the stage, but behind us on the screen, a tall, dark figure stood only a few feet away. But in real life, there was nothing. Guys, Tyler whispered, that thing is right behind us. The screen flickered, and the figure moved closer. One frame, then another. Closer, closer. It was pacing toward us in the recording, but we saw nothing in the room. Chris grabbed the camcorder and threw it to the ground. It shattered, but kept recording, the red light blinking through cracked plastic. That's when every seat in the auditorium slammed shut at the same time. Bang! A shock wave of sound hit us like a physical force. Something growled above us. Not human, not animal. Something deep, like the sound of a building groaning in pain. We bolted for the side exit. The doors didn't push open. They were being held shut from the other side. Maya screamed and slammed her shoulder into the metal. On the third hit, the door gave way. We stumbled into a narrow backstage hallway. Dust and paint chips falling like snow. The humming returned. The same off-key lullaby. Closer this time. Right behind us. Don't look, Chris whispered. Whatever you do, don't turn around. We ran through the hallway until we reached a set of stairs leading down. I wish we had gone anywhere else. But the humming was coming from upstairs now. Something was following us. We raced down the stairwell into the basement, our footsteps echoing endlessly. The air thickened into a swamp-like humidity. Concrete walls beaded with moisture. Basements in abandoned schools are the worst places imaginable. No windows, no escape, only darkness thick enough to swallow sound. At the bottom was a long corridor filled with rusted lockers, broken chairs, and yellowed paperwork scattered across the floor. The papers were student reports, but all their names were crossed out in red crayon. Every page. Tyler knelt and picked up a report card. It belonged to a girl named Emily Dalton. Guys, he whispered, these weren't here earlier. Look at the edges, no dust. The humming grew louder, louder, almost beside us. We ducked into the first open doorway. It was the boiler room. Pipes covered the walls like giant steel veins. The boiler itself was massive, rusted, and leaking water onto the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. On the far wall, written in chalk, fresh chalk, were words scratched over and over. They're still here. They're still here. They're still here. And below that, in small handwriting, I can't find my class. Maya covered her mouth. Emily. Chris nodded slowly. This is where they found her backpack, before the school shut down. He brushed dust from the corner of the wall. There were tally marks. Dozens. Hundreds. Like someone had been keeping track for years. A loud clang echoed through the room. A pipe shifted. Then another. The whole boiler system seemed to shake, rattling violently like something was crawling inside the pipes. Tyler backed up slowly. We need to get out of here. Now. We ran back into the basement hall. The humming had stopped, but the silence was worse. This silence wasn't empty. It was watching us. We crept down the corridor until we reached another stairwell, this one leading back to the first floor. As we climbed, the air grew warm again. Too warm. Like we were stepping into someone's breath. At the top of the stairs stood the girl, Emily. Her head bowed, her hair dripping onto the floor, her soaking wet dress clinging to her legs like seaweed. She blocked the entire exit. We stopped, frozen. She raised her head. This time, we saw her face clearly. No eyes, no nose, just smooth, pale skin, like wax melted and reformed wrong. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide. A sound came out, not a scream, a recording. It was the same whisper we heard in the auditorium. Help me find them. The recording repeated, then distorted, then twisted into another voice entirely. He never left the school. Chris gasped. What? Who never left? The girl pointed behind us. The humming returned, but now it was low, deep, warped into something monstrous. We spun around. A tall shadow filled the hallway. Not a person, not a child, Something impossibly long, bent, twisted, its limbs stretched like they were dislocated, its face blurred and shifting, like it couldn't choose one shape. It crawled along the ceiling toward us. Fast. We ran past Emily, yes, through her, and the room went ice cold as we passed. I felt something inside her, a sadness, a pleading feeling. She wasn't the threat. She was trying to warn us. The real thing was chasing us. We sprinted down the hallway, lights flickering violently overhead. Doors slammed shut on both sides as we passed, trapping us in a single path. The entity scraped its limbs along the ceiling tiles, ripping them down like paper. We reached the main entrance. The chains on the doors were gone. We pushed. The doors swung open violently, and we fell into the night air. We sprinted to the fence, climbed, nearly tore our hands open, and didn't stop running until we reached the car. We piled in. Chris locked the doors. Tyler fumbled with the keys. Hurry, hurry. The car wouldn't start. All four of us screamed at him. He turned the key again. Nothing. Then the radio turned on by itself. Static. Then humming. The same lullaby. I reached forward and hit the radio. It shut off. The car headlights turned on by themselves and illuminated the school entrance. Emily stood in the doorway, still, silent, watching us. The tall shadow rose behind her, towering over her, stretching across the bricks like living ink. Her mouth opened again. This time, her voice wasn't a recording. It was her voice, clear, desperate, begging, "Help me." The entity reached for her. She vanished. The flashlight in Tyler's lap flickered. The EMF meter in his backpack spiked. Then the engine roared to life. "Gee-oh," we all screamed. He slammed the gas. We sped down the cracked road, tearing through fog until the school disappeared behind the trees. No one spoke for miles. No one looked back. By the time we reached the main highway, the sky was turning gray with the first hint of sunrise. Tyler finally broke the silence. "We have to watch the footage." "No," Chris snapped. "Absolutely not. That thing followed us." But Tyler already had the SD card in his hand. At my house, we plugged it into my laptop. The files were corrupted, except one, a single 14-second clip. It showed us, inside the auditorium, but the camera angle was from the balcony, filmed by someone, or something, watching us from above. At the end of the clip, just before it cut to black, a little girl whispered, "Don't come back." We didn't, but last week, Chris got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a VHS tape, with one word on the label, "Emily." We haven't watched it yet. If you want part 2 of this investigation, hit that subscribe button. But be warned, some schools shouldn't be revisited, some spirits shouldn't be disturbed, and some disappearances were never meant to be solved. The spotlight burst, showering the stage with glass.